Hello, everyone. Yeah, the Spanish sun could be dangerous. So, my name is Andrey Sitnik, and today I want to talk about why and how we as a developer should care about the user privacy. And, many people from United States often start to think at that moment, like, oh, please, can we not talk about the politics? It's a tech conference, can we speak about the tech? And this is a great topic to discuss. The relationship between the software industry and politics. How many people here use open source? Definitely everyone, yes, we are in the Svelte conference. And the funny part that open source is not about free software. It's not about having GitHub. The core idea of open source is to be able to control your machine, to be able to know what exactly is happening on your machine, to own your machine. And can we answer truly that we today own our MacBook? And this is a good question, like, do we understand the real idea of open source today? But open source was completely politics. Hacking is politics. Hacking is also not only about stealing money, but also it's mistrust the authorities. And this is a very political motto. But my favorite quote from the golden age of the computer science is quote from the people who created TLS. Like, every time when you go to HTTPS website, this is their job. And they have a very good quote. The decision we make about communication security today will determine the kind of society we will live tomorrow. And this is a very cool idea to understand that, like, we are not just, closing tasks in our Jira, but we are, like, shaping the society where our children will live. So software industry was always about politics. It's always about principles. And it's only a current generation of Silicon Valley start to think a little different. This is a very interesting movie called Hackers from 90s, and this is how society saw software developers at 90s. And this is how they see us today. And it could be a problem of society, but let's be clear, like, it's definitely not only a society problem. We're definitely similar to that one. So, why you should care about politics, principles, etc. First, because you're creating your world for yourself. If you're helping a company to create, a screen tracking software to, like, be sure what people are doing, then this software will be used against you. Second, working just for money make a big hole inside your soul. Working for fun, for some principles, it's really easy reasons to have friends, to have a community, and also it's good to have some fun. I think that many Svelte developers understand it because we are doing Svelte not because people pay for that, but because it's cool. But there is a lot of revolutions to make. The privacy is not the only revolution. Svelte is also a very good revolution to follow. And there is no way to compare one politics idea, one revolution to another. Everyone is good. But I will try. So, why you should care about privacy as a developer? There is a lot of misconception about privacy. For instance, that I should not care about privacy because it's the problem only with advertisement. That if I will, stop these trackers, I will have worse advertisement in the internet. And this is the only problem. Unfortunately, this is a big lie, because the main problem of privacy, of tracking, is not a Google and a Google advertisement network. The main problem is data brokers. It's company which buy data from many small applications. Then it aggregated to one data, try to find some correlation between this data, and then sell it to very shady clients. There is a very good example of that. It was a data broker called Xmode, and in 2020, the journalists found out that this data broker bought a data from many small applications, like Quran application, Muslim dating app application, Craigslist application, pretty big one. And then they aggregate it and sell to US military contractor. What could be more shady than selling Muslim data to the US militaries? Okay, but my company doesn't work with data brokers. I'm okay because we don't sell the data. Unfortunately, this is not how it works in reality as well. There is not only a problem of selling data. If you store anything inside database, it will be leaked. Because right now there is more and more data breaches, data leaks every year. You will push your database password to GitHub, or people will find out a way to go to your servers. So unfortunately, data leaks is a reality. If you save anything to your database, it will be in the internet at some point. There is a very good example. There is a company in Russia called Yandex Food Delivery, and they had data breach in 2022 when all food deliveries was leaked to the internet. People even create a very nice website when people could put your name or address and see where did you deliver a food. So for instance, if you was in somewhere with someone and ask a delivery, they will track it. Imagine if your grandmother, babushka, give you some nice food and you told her that you're not hungry. But then she can go to this website and find out that then you order a Chinese food. It could be pretty dangerous. Okay, but like in our company, we don't care because we don't save private data, because we save only email or etc., something small, yes? Again, this is not save you from the problem, because there is such thing called big data when we aggregate data from multiple sources and can make a very painful conclusion from it. Imagine if you have a Quran application and to show the direction to Mecca, it needs your location. That's all. It only knows that you're a Muslim and location. It doesn't know your name, nothing. But then there is another application working with the same data broker, which have your email and location to put your on the map, or to put your, like Instagram, to put it inside the images. And we can combine these two data and understand your email and then use some data leak to find your real number, your real name. So even if you have, only not private data, but if it's something which could be trackable, then it could be combined together and for making very dangerous conclusions. How many people use Google Analytics today on the website? It's okay, we are not ashamed. The main problem with Google Analytics is that it tracks not user on only your website. It uses global user ID and track user between different websites. And it's about 50% websites using Google Analytics. And also Google Analytics can use referrer and clicks to connect, to go to the next step or previous step. And I believe that Google know about 70% of your path through the whole internet. Not a website, the path, where you was and where you go. And it's pretty creepy, to be honest. Okay, another myth. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Yeah? I'm completely open. I don't care about privacy. The main problem is that there is other people who have problem with privacy. For instance, Twitter employee was bought by the Saudi government and sell the data of Saudi dissidents in the Twitter to the government. Again, if Twitter would not save this data, it would be nothing to sell. Yes, but they put it to the database. And as a result of these data leaks, one woman was sent to prison and another man was killed. So unfortunately, the privacy is not, advertisement, etc. People could be killed because of how you manage your database, how you design your database, what data do you decide to put. And it's not only Saudi Arabia case. In Netherlands, Europe, there is a company who built facial recognition system in Russia. So when you go to protest, they will recognize your face, put you to the database, and police will not grab you on the street during the protest. They will go to your home a week later. But there is even a more creepy case in Spain, where we are inside right now. The Proton Mail and Apple disclosed user data, and this user was put to the jail because of his connection with peaceful protest during the Catalonia independence movement. And if Apple would not save this data, again, this person would be free. And even if you don't work with politics, politics could work with you in Soviet Union. LLMs could change your mind on your important politics topics twice more effective if they have your private data. And it's, again, very dangerous. So what we can do as developers? Another topic. In 90s, internet was a good place. today, internet is a shitty place. It's full of pop-ups. It's very hard to go to the website, yeah? Like, somebody made internet a shitty place. But am I on the developer conference? We made the internet shitty place. We created all the pop-ups. So what you can do to improve privacy? First step, remove GDPR pop-up from your website. Next Monday, it will be a nice timing. But again, many of you could say, but you know, the European bureaucrats, with this shitty law, they forced me to put these pop-ups. I did not want, but this GDPR law, shitty law, it forced me to do it. In reality, there is no pop-up word in the GDPR law. GDPR is technology abstraction law. It also doesn't mention cookies, by the way. The idea of GDPR is very simple, that private data is belong to user, and you can save it only if you have a right to do it. For instance, if somebody will give you permissions. So the idea is very simple. Don't track users. But what Silicon Valley made from it? Why we have GDPR pop-ups? Because we prefer to punish our users until they will agree to give us private data. So to be honest, GDPR pop-ups is a dark design patterns. It's a punishment for users who try to be care about their privacy. And like it's designed in the way to interrupt user goals. The URL is completely unclear. And you know all these like cases when you need to click more to cancel it, to say no. By the way, it's completely illegal. GDPR laws say that it should be the same amount of action to approve and disapprove. So if you have even that type of pop-up, you double shit. Anyway, so, and it's very easy to make websites without GDPR pop-ups. Just use GDPR-compatible analytics, remove the pop-up, and ask about user permission when they do some meaningful actions, for instance, sign up. During the sign up, they must provide user data to you. And at that moment, you can describe how you will save it, who will have access to it, and ask permission for optional processors. And there is a lot of analytics without pop-ups, and they are pretty capable. They could track sources, they could track events, they could track campaigns, they could even connect to different events, so you can like understand how that exact campaign leads to the actual sales. So it's very easy to do it with good analytics. They cannot do only two things. They could not track exact user ID. They could not save, not to the cookie anywhere, the unique user ID, because it will be tracking, because we will have a history of the user actions. And they could not do remarketing. How many people know what remarketing is? So it's a creepy practice when you connect a special JavaScript from Facebook, and they will understand your Facebook user ID when you visit website. And so then, when you go to Facebook, you will see advertisement connected to your visits. For instance, like if you try to buy socks, then you will see advertisement about socks in the Facebook. All that stuff, it's called remarketing. There is a lot of very good GDPR-compatible analytics. I personally use Plausible, but PostHoc, Matomoto, Unami, it's only the things which I know. It's also a big list of other alternatives. There is a very interesting website called European Alternatives. It's full of the privacy-first tools. Anyway, there is a QR code if you want. But I understand that managers could force you to use Google Analytics because they want to use it. First, there is a lot of managers who don't need this data. In Silicon Valley, we have an irrational data collection obsession. We want more and more data without any good reasons. There is a very good, simple test. Is it obsession or not? Ask your manager, what decision have you made in the last year based on this personal data from Google Analytics? And if there is no decision, it means they don't need it, and it's just irrational. But the most important part, if your manager says that we need GDPR pop-up because we need Google Analytics, because we need a lot of private data to make marketing, don't trust them, because there is a very big problem with that. If you collect statistics, how people buy on your website, Some of users will press yes, some of users press no on your GDPR pop-up. It's about 30 or 60% press no. So as a result, you will have data only about small fraction of your users. And this fraction is not random. It's subset of users with specific features. And it means this data which you will have about the private data is not statistically representative of the full data. So the fact that they are saying that we need to do some marketing research, it's meaningless because you cannot trust this data. It's only half of the users. It's much better to do analytics based on the full data because it will be statistically correlated with the real users. And it's not only European users, European Union. Very soon we will have the same law everywhere, for instance, in California right now. And I personally believe that we as a software industry should change the society, to change this problem. I understand that it's hard to convince your company, that it's hard to convince your managers, but it will be good. And we already did some revolution. How many people make a website for Internet Explorer? For Internet Explorer. Like, I remember when it was a problem that Svelte didn't support Internet Explorer because somebody asked for it. And what we did as a community back then is we create a conspiracy which forced people to stop using Internet Explorer. Was our, passion that days. Where is our passion nowadays to stop GDPR pop-up? Okay, second step, remove number of data processors. A lot of these pop-ups, we care about privacy, and then like thousands of people who have access to your data. It's what I'm talking about. A lot of companies have the same access to the same private data as you. For instance, any CDNs, any web hostings, all mail support, like all these intercom widgets, any widgets which you put on the website, they all have access to the same private data. And if more companies will have access, you will have more problems, more probability of leaks, more probability of selling the data. So try to reduce number of companies who you use. For instance, don't use CDN for JavaScript libraries. It's also very bad for performance. Don't use Google font. Just download WOV2 file, put it into your public directory and serve it. It's also much better for the performance. Then try to prefer self-hosted solutions, even if you're starting as a cloud solutions. It's better to have an option to go self-hosted. When you have money, then you will go to self-hosted. And my favorite one, try to combine CDN and cloud. I mean, don't use Cloudflare and AWS, because they both will have access to your private data. Try to use CDN from the Cloudflare, or try to use hosting from Cloud. Try to use CDN from AWS, and try to use hosting from Cloudflare. So it will be the only one company. It will reduce risks. Okay, step number 3. Try local-first architecture. I will only describe in general, because the last talk will be an amazing talk about the local-first in depth. So I highly recommend that one. But the main problem is that step is only for the new projects. You cannot use it in existing projects. It will be very hard. What is local-first? Do you remember Winamp? Maybe I'm too old. Like all this, when we have music on our machine and could listen it during the blackout time in Spain. So it was a time. But then iPhone came, and what is the problem? We start to have 2 devices. We have a phone and a laptop. And to solve this problem, we start to put all data to the cloud. And each device starts to becoming a thin client to solve the problem of multiple devices. So I want to suggest you a third way. Let's continue keeping 2 devices, but we will save all data here. We still will have cloud, but only to synchronize this data. So your music will be here, but every time when you add a music, you will use cloud to send it to your phone. This is the way. There is a very good, the term was created by Inka Switch. There is a whole manifesto. I highly recommend to read it. It's pretty nice. But I will describe it in different manner. How many people use Notion here? Pretty popular. Notion is a cloud service. So all your nodes is public, it's openly on their cloud, and they can read it, and they can train artificial intelligence, etc. There is a different tool called Obsidian. It's not the only tool, local first nodes, but it's a good example. They keep all nodes locally on your machine, like a markdown files in a folder. And you can use any way to synchronize this folder with all your other machines. But you can use Obsidian Sync and pay $5 per month as like monetization schema. This is a very good example of true high-end local first. I don't say that this is only local first, because local first is not on and off switch. It's a spectrum. And like on that side of spectrum, it could be sync engine with just a partial database replica, like replication, for instance, remote framework. But on the other side, it could be peer-to-peer, front-end, end-to-end encryption, no server, etc. You don't need to go there. Find what is better for your businesses. But even that way, partial database replica is much better than nothing. Okay, how to make local first application? First, we will put all data locally. So we will have a lot of data. And as a result, we need a good database with good performance and rich query language. How to achieve it inside our Svelte application? With real databases. With WebAssembly, we can run SQLite and PGLite, is Postgres, embedded Postgres, inside our Svelte application. To be honest, it's pretty solid. It's very nice. Right now, there is a lot of businesses using this type of solutions. By the way, good part that you can use PGLite not only on the front end, because it's an embedded system, you can use it inside your server when you develop it locally. So instead of running two different Docker images, you can run only one, because your Postgres will be inside your server. Anyway. Then we need some persistent database storage. SQLite or Postgres needs somewhere to put the data. There is a way. First, there is original private file system. It's a way for browser to give for the website a folder where the website could create any files. And another way is an indexed database. Funny part that Firefox uses SQLite for indexed database, OPFS. So if you will put SQLite inside that, you will have SQLite inside SQLite. But it still will be faster. The funny part that it will be still a lot faster than just using indexed database. Never used indexed database. It's just very bad database. Step 2. We should not write directly to database from our Svelte code. Instead, we will have a list of actions. We call it log. And when we try to change something in our state, we will create an action and put it to the log. Then, database is reading this log, and when it sees a new action, it will apply it to database, and then it will go to the reactive store to your interface. Why do we need this log? Because not only our user could change the data. It could be changed by another browser tab. It could be changed by another user in the cloud. And with this log, we will have only one single source of changes. As a result, it doesn't matter who changed the data, because the way will be completely similar, and your code will be simpler. Third, you need CRDT. It sounds like some magical mathematical thing, but to be honest, it's pretty simple. Just use that library, like Aftermerge or YGS. It's a tool to automatically resolve conflict. If two people work with the same data, they could create a conflict. This system will automatically resolve it. And the last step, we will need two different passwords. First password will open cloud, but second one, we will not send it to the cloud. Instead, this password will be used to encrypt all actions which we send to the cloud. As a result, as a cloud provider, will be not able to read these actions anymore. So we need these two passwords. Okay, we made this architecture because we are patient, because we are revolutionaries, because we want to change society. But the funny part, we just open a few cool features for our business, a few features which really makes money. How? First, with local first, we can use very simple server, because all our clients is local. It's only inside the Svelte. So if you're making a Svelte startup, you can hire 2 Svelte developers and only 1 backend developers, or even do it like on your own. Second, you can have prototype without any server. It's offline first solution. So it will work without server. It will work offline. And so you can present it to investors, make it deals without server. And it means that you will go to market early, and it's better for the business. More important part, that it's very easy to scale, because all your logic happens locally. As the result, more users means you will have more hardware to run your application. And so you don't need to pay more for your servers when you have more users. And as a result, you don't need all the Silicon Valley VC-backed startups, because it's much easier to have less money and start to scale without taking a lot of money from VC. No data, no problem. There is nothing to steal from your database, because you don't know anything about your users. Everything is encrypted. But it's a funny part. People tell that it's much easier to write a software when it's local first. Why? Because right now, we do a lot of imperative code in our components working with a network. We do all this fetch manually. And we need to think about all the edge cases, etc. But with local first, we will put all this logic to the special service. And as a result, we will have declarative code in our Svelte component. As a result, our Svelte component will be much simpler, and we can write this service only once, or like use some open source solutions, and spend less on the networking. And it's a very good. It increases time of the feature delivery a lot. At least what's what Linear told. And local first means the data locally, and it means your application will be very fast. You don't need to load the data. You don't need to wait the data. And performance is a very good selling point. There is a very good example. It's a Linear. How many people use Linear? It's a Jira-like tool. But the funniest part is that they think that local first is their business reasons why people start to use them. Because, Task Manager it's a very competitive market. It's very hard to be there. But they have faster application, and this is why they could compete on this high competitive market. Another example is a pitch. It's a slideshow editor. It has about 2 million users, monthly users. Or like GoodNotes, they have 25 million monthly users, and they're local first. And it means that local first, was tested on production. It's not new idea. We have multiple frameworks right now. Mine called Lagax, but I personally prefer Electric SQL. It's a PG-Lite, and Zero from Replication. You will be, Scott will talk about it on the last talk. But also there is a very good guide called Local First Web.dev. There we'll find all links to all frameworks, etc., guides, all important information. That's all with local first. But there is last step to do with the privacy. There is a privacy in the United States, and there is a privacy in another world. The main problem that, of course, this is only for the big companies, but we have a lot of privacy risks. It's not only a government. It's not only, data brokers, clouds. It's also local community. Local church, which want to know, is it you are a good Christian or not? Or could be your family member, trying to unlock your phone while you're sleeping. It's also a privacy problem. And the main problem of our modern society is that we only, we speak a lot about diversity, but we are technically in neocolonialism. Well, all communication is about the United States. And we take care of only about privacy, which is related to United States, which is important for the people from United States. But if you start to care about the privacy around the whole world, sometimes you need to do completely opposite decision. Imagine if I make news reader, which is privacy first. I'm trying to sell it to the US market, and people in US don't trust cloud. So they prefer local first reader, when application will go directly to the website and download the news from there. But what if I'm making the same reader for Russian market? In Russia, people trust American cloud. They don't trust local internet provider. If I will do local first, the internet provider will tell that this user go to the Navalny.com and this user will be ended in jail. So in Russia, people prefer to use clouds to hide where they are going from the government internet provider. Or imagine a completely different case. Local police check in Russian and Belarusian. It's reality. Like you can be checked by the police in metro, on the street, and they can ask you to unlock your phone and to check your subscriptions. You can, of course, say that I have rights and they will break your legs. Or you can unlock your phone, they will find the Navalny channel, and you go into jail. So both options are pretty bad. What we can do about it? And to be honest, we can, if we will start to think about it. People ask solution from Telegram team, but they refuse to do anything. This is why Belarusian cyber partisans, they created fork of Telegram, where you can define 2 different PIN numbers. And if you will enter the second PIN number, it automatically delete all dangerous channels. And so you will save your freedom, at least, maybe. It's like not work like this in Russian and Belarusian. Anyway, summary. First, next working day, please remove GDPR pop-up. We don't need it. It's just punishment for users. Second, reduce number of services which have access to the private data. Third, think about the local first. And last one, think about other privacy risk if you're making a big application. And again, very important quote, the decision we make about the privacy of our application today will determine the kind of society we live in tomorrow. That's all. This is my social media. This is the slides.